Chester Black. That's one of you. I guess someone actually has heard of my much more famous, much more popular cousin who also does comic books. Goes by the name Stan Lee. Actually, my cousin's name is Chester Brown. He's a very famous Toronto comic artist. And it's not easy having Chester Brown as your cousin, because sometimes all of your work is just compared to him unfairly and unduly. Chester Brown is famous for doing a comic called Chanfrix, where it all chronicles his exploits, paying prostitutes for money. My comic is completely different. It's all about me becoming a prostitute in order to pay off my student loans. I feel that my career as an artist has maybe prepared me for my career as a prostitute. I posted on Kijiji last summer that I was willing to do any work, any design work, any Illustrator, Adobe work in design. And someone contacted me saying, well, I have a job for you. I've been having the hardest time trying to get someone to actually do this work for me. It's because that people don't want to work with the clients. The clients. He said, well, he's originally from Calgary, maybe Calgary Southwest, and he's currently living in Ottawa at the moment, and he's a really nice guy. He likes to play the piano and he likes the Beatles. So I said to myself, prostitution or working for Stephen Harper, at least one of them makes I don't feel so dirty afterwards. So because of all that stress of being an artist, I decided to start seeing analysts. And I thought to myself, what type of animals should I see? And I read this really great book last year. It's called The Jung Ones Part 1. And I thought, why don't I get a Jungian analyst? First I had to research how to pronounce Jungian analyst. It's not pronounced Carl Jung, it's Carl Jung. And so Jungian analysts actually dealing with understanding the psychology of the unconscious mind and dream interpretation. I told my analysts I have this one recurring nightmare where I'm up on stage hosting a book launch. I don't know what that dream means. If this is one of my nightmares, at least I'm wearing my pants this time. Speaking of pantslessness, has anyone ever told you when you're younger, if you're nervous about getting up on stage, picture the audience naked? That really doesn't help, especially with this crowd here tonight. But I've also went to my analyst the other day and he said, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're going to have to stop masturbating. And I said, well, why is that? Because masturbation is natural, it's perfectly normal. What type of analyst in this day and age would think that it's like such a terrible thing? And my analyst said, well, I agree with all of that, but do you mind waiting until after the session? And otherwise I'd have to charge you extra. So tonight we're here for the book launch of The Jung Ones II. If there's one thing I like more than making jokes about Carl Jung, it's comics that feature characters in a mental health asylum who undergo an experimental procedure that makes reference to Jungian theory. And if there's one thing I love more than that, it's talking about said book. So I'm going to pick one random person in the audience tonight to talk about the book with me, and I'll pick that lady over there in the back. Come on up, you guys. What a coincidence. It's Saraƒin, the author and artist of The Jung Ones. Otherwise, it might have been a little awkward. The book just came out today. So how are you doing today, Sarah?
Very good.
What you're doing, guys?
Better than your hair.
It's falling out. Some of the people in the audience know what I have to go through. I really love your work.
Thank you.
It's your fifth book, isn't it?
Yes, fifth.
Fifth book, The Jung Ones Part 2. Can you tell me a little, you've been doing this book for quite a while now, for 5 years.
Yes.
What type of response have you been receiving for this?
I would say mostly very positive response. I think that when I Google my name, there's been like a bit of stuff online. It's not so positive, but I think that put yourself out there, you're going to find that with just about anything. But generally, I mean, I can't think of one email I got that was considered hate mail or anything like that, so I'm generally very happy with the response that I've gotten so far.
Have you ever had like one response that really stuck out to you, like a really nice positive response?
Not one specifically, but I have had a couple of responses from people who have been through the system, some of them in hospital at the time of the email, and who have contacted me and said how much the work means to them, and that really feels really good because they were people who have been through the mental health system are my target audience anyway. So it's really good to get emails like that. It's very encouraging.
Well, you made no secret that you yourself have gone through the mental health system.
Yeah.
And the Asylum Squad series is all about 4 characters in a mental health hospital that actually have to enter their mind and enter the subconscious and do battle with their inner demons. Do you feel like, and you're an artist on top of that, you have to deal with all the issues of being an artist.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you, over the years that you've learned something that can actually help people who've come through?
I find that, well, my advice for artists is, do you mean specifically for artists? Do you mean for people from the mental health system or both?
Well, how about both?
Okay, so cartoonists who've been through the mental health system. I don't know, it's pretty specific.
Yeah. You've been doing this book for 5 years. Have you learned anything new about making comics that you wish that you knew way back when you first started them?
I think that one of the roughest of making comics is getting a consistent, substantial body of work is the hardest part of making comics. For me, it was anyway. Like after a certain point, it becomes just like brushing your teeth, or it's much more fun than that. But it's the other thing that I learned was to not punish myself so much for my old work, because everybody is going to produce crap for a while, and then you get to a certain number of drawings where you start to produce good work. And I'm not even sure if I'm really there with my visual aspect, I think I'm at a decent point, but I don't know if I'm ready to work for Marvel or DC at this point, but I think I'm getting there anyway, so yeah. I'm being self-deprecating, aren't I?
Speaking of being self-deprecating, do you have like some advice for people who've gone through? You've made no secret that you've had to deal with mental health issues. Do you have any advice for just people that you've learned over the years?
Through the mental health system?
Yeah.
I would recommend, at least in my own experience, not to put too much energy into any diagnostic label in psychiatric medicine, because in my case, I've been re-diagnosed at least 3 times, 4 times, and they still don't seem to be able to get it right. So I just don't buy into, I found what works for me with my mental health, but I don't like to buy into the idea that I am burdened with a disease that is scientific when there's no real science behind what the labels that they are applying to me. So until they can come up with some really serious science that says you have this, I am not going to really give much energy. So my advice to anybody through the system is find what works for you and don't take labels too seriously.
So back to the Jung Ones Part 2. This is your fifth book.
Yeah.
And the first book was The Psychosis Diaries, and that introduced all the characters.
Yeah.
And Monster Hospital Part 2 introduced the characters to each other. So without spoiling anything about what's up in this book right now, Jung Ones Part 2, can you tell me a little bit what's going on in the Jung Ones series? And
the Jung Ones is the second act of the overall. I made this very complicated because that's I have a tendency to do that.
It's Part 2, but it's Part 5.
It's the 5th book, but it's the second book of the second act. So it is basically capped off the second act of the overall series. There's one more act to follow, probably 2 books, and then that's it. And it deals with issues of, it's sort of a satire of guinea pigging and mental patients. And it brings in fantasy elements in it all, because I always wanted to write a fantasy. However, with the old, I had an old prototype version of this comic years ago that I've since abandoned, and I wanted to sort of hold on to that sort of superhero element, but I wanted to bring it in a way that would make it work in the world that I was building with the new book, the new work. So I decided to use dreamscapes and the unconscious as a way of bringing that to life. So it deals a lot with sort of the idea of dreams and the unconscious and a what-if scenario with guinea pigging. Yeah.
Well, if anyone has a chance to check out the lovely artwork of the Young Ones, you know that there's a lot of magical girl action going on. You can really feel, when you're reading the book, you can really feel that there's the influence of manga and anime. What sort of manga and anime influence you?
I bet you can guess this one, but I'm going to say it anyway. Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon was the first anime that got me really into Japanese cartoons. Before that, I had been a fan of Samurai Pizzicato and I think Astro Boy back in the day. So there's a heavy magical girls is the trope that I'm working with, element to this particular act. And it's just something that I thought would be fun to play with, and to have it with psychiatric implements would just be ridiculous, and I just thought it would be hilarious. So, yeah.
Speaking of psychiatric implements and elements, I've tried to research and Google Jungian humor. If you try and Google Jungian humor, you'll only get something that says something about choleric, choleric, melancholic, sanguine, phlegmatic fluids. You actually get that. Thank you. You're my best audience here today. But actually, when researching both Young Ones and Jungian humor, I was learning that about the humors, and your four characters can actually relate to the four humors.
They actually can, and I discovered this later on, that I realized that I was basically creating the four humors. Henry Chan here. I would say he's sanguine, which is a more sort of playful, outgoing, sociable attitude, and more lively. The protagonist, who I should have mentioned first, Liz Matter, is the more choleric, kind of fiery personality. Here, Cass Schneider, she's the more friendly, phlegmatic personality, more sort of slightly subdued, friendlier. And then Sarah Lockhart, because she has a nickname, last name, is the melancholic because she's kind of introspective and depressed. So that's where it sort of worked out. And I was studying the four humors after I created the characters and realized, hey, it worked out. So yeah.
Happy coincidence.
Yeah.
We're talking all about the Young Ones, which is probably young. We're also talking about comics. And famous comic book writer and creator Scott McCloud actually incorporated the idea of the humors when creating comic book characters. He even said that the four characters of the Fantastic Four can be broken up into the four humors. So four characters of Sex and the City can be compared to the four humors, even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, in your professional opinion, who do you think would be Carl Jung's favorite Ninja Turtle and Sigmund Freud's favorite Ninja Turtle?
I think that Freud is definitely Leonardo because he's the teacher, he's the leader, and I think that Jung would be Donatello because he's the creative type, and yeah. That's what I think. I don't know, maybe he's a Michelangelo.
Maybe he's a party dude.
Maybe he's a party dude. Maybe he knows machines.
Maybe. Well, I've been monopolizing all of your attention right now, but I'm sure there are lots of people in the audience who are running with questions to ask you. So I'd like to turn it over to the audience. Is there anyone that has some questions for Saraƒin tonight?
Yes?
So you wrote the original Asylum Squad at 1001, right?
The original was done when I was dealing with more of a teenage depression issue, and it was not particularly Mad Pride. And that's a book that I really don't like people seeing because I did them back in the early 2000s. If you're talking about the work that's not here at all and will never be here.
And that's the reason I asked that, because I'm curious, like, if you already had like an art practice before you found yourself there.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just curious about like the phenomenon of like having, I don't know, access to your creativity for people who find themselves in like psychiatric situations. See how, like, in my experience, I see how people who have that sort of like art practice already developed in their life,
Yeah.
they're able to kind of sort of articulate what's going on better than people who like don't.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was at a more amateur level when I put out the first version, and I was always an artistically minded person.
Right.
And I just sort of found my voice, oddly enough, after going through something really traumatic.
Yeah.
And then I was able to take an old idea that wasn't particularly good and make it more interesting. Yeah. Thanks.
Any other questions in the audience? I see the lovely young lady over there.
Now, this is your fifth?
Fifth book, yeah.
Fifth book. So if I was to buy this one, would I be able to get a sense of what's happening and not reading the others? Be able to pick up from there?
You might be a little lost, however, the work is available for free on the internet, and I do have back copies of the old issues as well here, if you're curious to try the first book. And yeah, it's like I said, if you did buy the new book, you can always go to the website and read the backstories as well.
Oh, okay, to get the better understanding.
Yeah.
But about that, I mean, I saw online that the newest book is $15. Would I have to pay, say, $30 for just for Monster Hospital 1 and 2?
Actually, you can buy Monster Hospital 1 and 2 in a complete volume for only $22 because, yeah.
So the biggest real part?
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for the audience? Gentlemen in far back.
What are the characters? Which one, or if any, do you really see yourself as?
Well, Sarah is actually me as I used to be. I consider her the Sarah that was, but I don't consider her me now. There's actually a character who's a fifth character who's sort of a narrator, and she's called the Saraƒin. She has a six-winged version of me who pops in once in a while, and that character is me narrating when necessary as a kind of an MC. So I guess that's the closest to the real me as it stands in the book. But she's kind of mysterious. She doesn't really discuss her backstory. She doesn't really have one. She's she's just sort of mysterious. But all the characters have elements of me in them, and their personalities and their stories. And so I guess all of them are kind of me in a way.
I just want to figure which one was more representative of you, but yeah.
I guess Sarah, in a way. But that was the past. That was not none of them really is at present, except for the MC.
I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
You find your question inspired me to ask a question of my own. Do you find like the characters have taken on a life of their own since you've been writing for so long?
Well, and when I began the series as the prototype, which I like to call the back issues that I no longer sell, they were much different. They're much different than they are now. They grew out of that cesspool.
Sort of like how they evolved.
They evolved out to, yeah. And so the one who has changed the least, I think, is the main character, who's Liz, who's the more the spunky one, who's the protagonist who has her own set of flaws and strengths and so on. She's the closest to the original cast, but they've all, appearance-wise, they pretty much stay the same, but personality-wise, they've gone through multiple changes.
Are there any other burning dying questions? Yes, the lady in the front.
Your journey through the medical system, and I'm sure you know that friends. What do you get the characters? go on from other people that you
No, actually, I haven't shared anyone's story. I feel it's private. These characters are extremely loosely based on people, and I mean that in first name alone, and that's it. On people I went to high school with who have nothing to do with, who have never been to the mental health system, and I just I like the characters that I had created at the time, and I developed them based on my story, because I didn't want to share, especially if you can get into legal hot water if you start sharing other people's information, and I didn't want to exploit anybody. So they're not based on anybody in the system. So.
You can't really see yourself.
Yeah.
So I have, is there another question? Yes?
I just wanted to ask, does this take place right afterwards, or is there a time gap?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
From this book here, does it take like immediately right after? Does it take place immediately right after the Young Ones?
Yes, it takes off immediately after. I should mention that the book, and it's not a spoiler because it's already on the web, but the next act is a 5 years later kind of thing. But this book happens immediately after the end of the Young Ones. It's actually the second half of one act. Yeah.
So I have just one last question. You mentioned earlier that just now that the comics are available online.
Yeah.
And so people can read this online, and the books are right here. How do you feel about the dichotomy of webcomics and books in your hands?
Well, the great irony is that even though I make a webcomic, I can't stand reading comics on the screen. I don't even have a proper Kindle or Kobo or whatever they're called. I like books, and so I tend to buy, because I have so little shelf space now, I tend to buy a book when I really want it, and handbooks, trade books, I give books to other people. I just like paper. I like holding it in my hand. It's like almost an intimate thing. I feel like books are artifacts, and comics are just data. And they can be extremely good data, but it's like once removed from me, and it's just they're extremely accessible and often free to read, but there's something about reading a book that I can't replace.
I love those artifacts too. I just want to get my hands on them. How can I get my hands on one? I really want one.
You can purchase one today for $15, or a back issue, there's some books for back issue for $15, and also the two Monster Hospitals together in one collection for $22. Or you can go to the Garland Bookstore, Caversham Bookstore, or the Harry Tarantula in purchase them. Or you can contact me via my web address, my email, which is in the book, and I can give it to you later, if you wish to purchase one of the time.
Well, with that, I think everyone in the audience is dying to start buying some books. So Saraƒin will be over there signing, and you can buy the book for $15. And like my famous cousin Chester Brown wants to say, it's so much better when you're paying for it. Thank you very much.